That kind of nerd. Let's start the show with comics, movies, and technology. Here we go, bringing you the segments that you're looking for, like Cape Talk, Screen to Stream, Tech Perspective, and more. Cast this nerd degree and the blockbuster. Welcome to the club, cause you're that kind of nerd.
Welcome, everyone, to That Kind of Nerds podcast, a show that tells you what is going on in the nerdy world. I am CJ Mellon, joined by Joshua Burns and Ryan Thornton.
What up?
Hello to the people.
Joining us from the Quantum of Echoes is Brian Thornton, who is still in his new house, in his new palatial estate, still fixing up the room, so enjoy the echoes. And know that one day he'll just buy a blanket and we won't have to suffer through this.
This isn't even the right room. I have to wait until I'm in the right room.
It's a stir of echoes.
It's a good movie.
Good.
It's a good movie.
It's a movie.
It's good.
Movie.
Listen. First and foremost, as far as Kevin Bacon films go, it's definitely a good film. As far as Kevin Bacon horror goes, definitely upper echelon Kevin Bacon horror. And it's an all-around just fine, good movie. It's not like the trashiest film. It's not forgettable, unlike another movie we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Anyway, I maintain Stir of Echoes, good movie.
On the nerdy docket today, we're just going to kind of reflect a little bit of the nerdy things that got us through 2020. And we're also going to be, as Brian just delightfully teased, we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman 1984. It hit HBO Max, or maybe a theater if you were crazy enough to go. And we're going to give our thoughts on it. So let's just start off with acknowledging the fact that 2020 is over. Hurrah, huzzah, hooray, yay. But let's talk a little bit about the fact that because it was such a trying year, a lot of nerdy things just kind of had to make up for all the stuff that we missed. There were no movies that were really coming out. Couldn't go out. Couldn't really do a lot of stuff. So wanted to take the opportunity to kind of talk about those 5 things that just kind of got you through it. So Josh, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
You go ahead. First you go, and then I'll go, and you talk.
Right.
And now it's my turn.
Right. And then at some point, the Brian goes, "Oh well, you already said this thing," and I said, "Yeah, sure, okay, but that's my thing now too."
That's
so
right.
Thanks for saying it, because now that's my thing that I didn't prepare.
Right.
Okay, great. So thought I'd start off with just going through my 5 things that got me through 2020. And the first one I got kind of after the whole lockdown came on. And just so you know, at the end of the year, I actually ended up purchasing 4 of these things. The Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch got me through everything that was going on in 2020 with getting Animal Crossing, which was an absolute delight to play. Finding some old games and putting them on, and then just recently Mario Maker 2, getting my kids involved with more gaming. I ended up buying 4 in this way. I bought my Switch, main console Switch. I bought a Switch Lite for my niece, a Switch Lite for my daughter, and then my brother and my sister-in-law, for their wedding, I bought them a Nintendo Switch. So they're so hard to find. I ended up buying 4 throughout the entire year.
Yet you won't pay $5 to Plex.
I won't give $5 to Plex. I ended up selling the Switch Lite too. Because my daughter didn't play with it. So I do now only own 1. But yeah, I bought 4 of these things. Brian, you talked about your millennial rooftop parties, and since they weren't happening this year, I do feel like I missed out on some of the Switch culture.
You did. You missed the hookah and Mario Kart extravaganza on the roof. It's quite the time. We talked about craft beer and who could make their mustache twirl even greater than whoever Dick Dastardly is, if anybody knows who Dick Dastardly is anymore.
I do.
One of the really fun things I had was my wife's friends. They don't live in the area. So when we were first starting off with all this, about once a week, we'd have a little Zoom session. We'd play Mario Kart together and just kind of do some of that online gaming. And it was nice to do that. Hadn't done in a few years. And it was just nice to kind of reignite that and get that going. So the Switch was a godsend, and it just really kind of got me through what we had this year. Second one I had was I got a Raspberry Pi, tiny computer, for Christmas the year past in 2019.
About to say, Raspberry Pi's delicious.
Delicious. But this is a little tiny, it's size of a credit card computer. And at first it was, I don't know, I'll run Plex off of it. I'll run the movie stuff. But it's such a tiny little computer. It's not made to do that for other people. So it kind of failed. So I kind of looked at this thing and said, what do I want to do? And I loaded up with an emulator.
Yeah, emulator. Got to be an emulator.
Yeah. Oh, man. And I loaded up N64, NES, SNES, Sega. I mean, you name it. I just loaded thousands of games.
Yep, makes sense.
Got a wireless controller and used my Xbox One for my daughter, and we played old games. And let me tell you, the game that I had nostalgia for and wanted to play, and then no idea that my 7-year-old was going to care about it, was Gauntlet Legends for the N64.
Oh gosh, that was a fun
If you
game.
play Gauntlet Legends, it kind of reminds me of what the what the Marvel games are, where they do like the big
Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Ultimate Alliance, exactly. The precursor to some of those, and there's other games that are like this, but Gauntlet Legends was the first for me. And doing it on the Raspberry Pi was just so much fun, and now I have other projects with it, so it was perhaps my nerdiest thing that I did this year. And then my third one was I got into Plex and starting running a little media server, my own private little Netflix. So if I'm out and about and I want to watch my movies, I can do that. It was helpful at the DMV when I had to renew my license, and then getting to share some of that content with some other people. Like my parents, they wanted to watch a movie. I had the movie, was able to put it up on there so that way they can watch it. Super fun. And then my number 4 was Disney Plus. Whew. Disney Plus gave me so much value for this year. Not only with The Mandalorian, watching Soul on Christmas, which was an absolutely fantastic movie. Really enjoyed it. But also just kind of finding...
Can we talk about that? Because I really enjoyed that movie.
That was a good movie. We can talk about it for a minute.
Instead of the other thing?
No, I don't think we can. We can talk about it afterward. The Disney Plus really, when we talked about this, started off with, I don't care about the Disney back catalog. I don't care about the movies that are locked up and I can't watch. But with everything that happened this year, from Frozen 2 being put on there early, Onward being put on there early, man, I got my value out of that streaming service, and I can see why it has exploded to the point that it has, and it's been really fun to binge that content and to see some of the stuff that the House of Mouse has to offer, and I'm really excited to continue to see how it's going to grow. And then I got stuck on number 5, and I couldn't think it through, but I'm gonna shoehorn 2 into 1. It's my AirPods Pro.
Why do you always have to cheat? Whenever we do this shit,
no.
It's like John Cusack in High Fidelity. Like he
Excuse
just
me.
Whenever we do this
number
shit,
5 was
Excuse
just a toss in.
My cheating here.
You
How many
always do
honorable
this
mentions?
bullshit.
How many honorable
Just
mentions do you
name
put on
one.
everything?
Choose one.
My AirPods Pro, all right? Use them all the time. Love watching TikTok with them. They sound fantastic. TikTok is my number 5, 6.
Shut up.
And they
Pick
are
one:
just,
AirPods Pro or TikTok.
yes, and they are
And not TikTok, because TikTok's mine.
and it's we can share.
No, we can't.
But they are fantastic. So now I turn the floor over to you two. Want to hear what were the 5 nerdy things that got you through 2020?
All right. So, roller coaster of a year. I will say, cooking, my family's and my own has been a big part of this year. Laura makes fantastic bread and has been making, quite a few other things that have gotten us through. It used to be that I did all the cooking in the house, and it's been wonderful to share that with Laura over the past 9 months ish.
How many did you buy? Any new sous vide or new piece of tech to help do that cooking?
No, I mean I already had 2 sous vide circulators, 2 setups. I did sort of relocate that out of my kitchen into the garage, so I have like a whole countertop where I can do prep. The countertop has like a single sous vide circulator setup. It has my coffee grinder, a kitchen scale, and a cutting board. So like I can like go to Costco, buy the things, do all the work out in the garage, vacuum seal and freeze, because we have the second fridge in the garage there.
Right.
So I have sort of a whole second prep station, and my sous vide setup is out there, so that frees up the counter.
Some men have a nerd.
Oh,
cave.
it
You
has
have
the there also the air fryer is on that
Oh.
countertop as well. So yeah, well, lots of cooking, obviously, with 2 kids. So that was thing number 1. Thing number 2, tattoos. I've spent the last year or so, 9 months, especially since March, really finishing my lower right leg. Lots of Doctor Who themed stuff, and I just recently week and a half ago added the bat signal, completing my lower leg. Tattoos got me through. Coffee. I subscribe to Trade Coffee. There's different I get a different shipment from a different roaster every 3 weeks. It's fantastic, and I use, I've got several, French presses. I have a really nice drip coffee maker, which I never use anymore because I use my Chemex all the time, which is fantastic. My job actually, super, super flexible and innovative company that kept me engaged this whole time, which is kind of spectacular. And I joined TikTok November of last year. So I've been on TikTok for longer than telling all you fools how awesome it was and being told I'm a 16-year-old and I should grow up. And now all of you are on TikTok. Welcome.
Just to
That's
say, you
amazing.
you are a 16-year-old girl, and you do need to grow up. I just want to stay on message. Want to stay on brand.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You've stayed on brand. I'm continuing the trend. I've actually decided to just go all in with the tattoos. I'm going to get tattooed from the mid thigh down on both legs, as well as from the elbow up on both arms, and I will ultimately get my chest and back done once all that is over. So Zoe and my niece Sophia are designing knee tattoos for me as we speak.
Wow.
So I'm in. It's I just have to commit and get it. I have appointments at my with the tattoo artist every other March and April, and I'll make more as we go. But that's I'm in.
The nerdy leg on Josh right now is pretty damn impressive. I think we put a few pictures up on Instagram. Maybe we'll throw up a little more if you want. But you also got this show's logo that are our heads tattooed on your body.
Well, we've been doing this since 2014. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a long time. It's a big part of my life. And this show has really allowed me to be who I am for quite some time. So it just made sense as a brand to put it on me. So it's there.
I'm going to draw a hand turkey. I want you to put that on your body somewhere.
Right on an ass
I'll let
cheek.
you choose the place. but
Right
just
on an ass cheek, I think would really do
A
good
hand
job for that
turkey. That's good.
a hand turkey. Yes. You said you're in. I'm going to design it. Expect a drawing in the mail in the next week.
Okay.
Now, Brian,
Oh, is it my turn?
Brian, I know just like almost like the Blockbuster that we used to do when movies were a thing. I know you sat by candlelight and masterfully handcrafted this. Oh wait, no, you just did this in the last minute. Okay, what were the 5 nerdy things or 5 things that kind of got you through 2020?
I want to be on the record as saying I was not one of the people calling you a 16-year-old girl, Josh, and I am very grateful that you got me to sign up for TikTok because it it most certainly is one of my 5. And I consume all of my news through there now too. It's just wonderful. I don't have to do anything except scroll for things at a minute or less at a time. Anywho, so that's that's one of them. In no particular order or in an order that will surprise you.
Right? Yes.
TikTok is one of them, and I won't belabor the point. It's wonderful. And I wish I had stock in TikTok before this whole thing. I'll tell you that.
They're not a publicly traded company.
You have to get ByteDance, right? Isn't ByteDance the publicly traded company?
Yeah.
TikTok is not publicly traded.
Well, anyway, I had the rest of my brain, and now they all left. CJ, you said your Switch, and as much as I love my Switch, I found myself not playing it that much this year. I played my PlayStation 4 a ton. So that's definitely on there. I played the newest Avengers game, which was awesome. I played hours of Fall Guys and got frustrated as hell. I played Red Dead Redemption again for funsies. Like a lot of hours poured into my PlayStation 4. My Peloton bike.
Oh God.
Otherwise, I would most certainly have ballooned up during this entire time. It most certainly has been a godsend. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't need to. You see the commercials. It's the new year. You're seeing commercials for it all the time. I don't need to plug Peloton. Board games. Even though I don't have anyone to play them, I keep buying them because it's therapeutic. And now I have all of these board games that I have not played yet. That as soon as all this bullshit is over, I'm gonna play the hell out of them.
Did you get your Strombad?
I did. I have Trogdor.
You get your Homestar Runner.
Yeah, I've got the Trogdor board game. I just picked up the newest version of Villainous, the Marvel version of Villainous. I have the several Funkoverse pop games that I bought this year. I bought a game called Illusion. I kickstarted a Marvel United game for money, and there's several boxes coming to me of expansions for that. So yeah, that I bought them. Like, I have so many games. Like, we need to orchestrate a game night when we can see each other in person, because I can't play these games virtually, unfortunately. But I keep buying them because they look great and they look like a lot of fun. And Synergy, I found some of these games on TikTok because I follow board game reviews on TikTok, and I'm like, I want to play that game. I go and buy it, and then I'm like, oh wait, I have no one to play with. All right, well I'll wait. So that's what we're doing. And then I think that was 4, right? So 5. Can I just say my TV? My TV. And all the things that are hooked up into it.
I couldn't even I couldn't focus in on one thing streaming because it's just been
I've been pinballing back and forth. I have them all.
It's been nonstop background noise. I can't I should have tracked everything that I've watched. I didn't because there's just I've watched everything. I've watched everything not named The Mandalorian in the past year.
I gotta tell you, I've watched. So, as we were discussing before, I've watched all the Star Wars so far in order up to Mandalorian. So, I watched Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, all 7 seasons of Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith, 4 seasons of Rebels, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and now I'm on Mandalorian. But like, I watched a ton of stuff through HBO Max, like movies I've never seen before, a couple shows I've never seen before. I signed up for Shudder because I'm, all into horror now, and that's $5 a month. It's got some really interesting programming on there. Still have not watched anything on Apple TV Plus, and I have it. it's just there. I keep forgetting it exists because I'm watching all this other stuff.
For All Mankind is actually really good. I would highly recommend For All Mankind.
Oh, I'm sure it is. It's Ron Moore who did the remake of Battlestar Galactica, which I freaking love and is fantastic. And then like what? Oh yeah, and there's a new so if I'm not streaming something and it's on the cable, it's always on HGTV. Like that's
because you bought a new palatial estate, so HGTV.
The TV has not left HGTV since I got married. It's just
for me. If it's not sports and it's on regular TV, it's just Food Network.
So that's the other thing, Josh. If it's not HGTV, it's Food Network. So we pinball back and forth. And now I'm seeing all these ads for Discovery Plus, and I'm like, ooh, another plus. I must add this to my Plus collection. So that's like $5 a month, and that launches on Monday. And like Cassandra's like, we don't need that. Like, I'm fine watching it. I'm like, but it's the same 5 episodes of My Lottery Dream Home. Don't you want to watch something else? So like, I'm looking at spending another $5 just to watch more Property Brothers, because why the hell not? Anyway, streaming has been awesome this year.
Yeah, it's definitely taken a place of some of the movies and things that we missed and things that got delayed for it. It's also, Josh, to your point too, another like looking at your Netflix queue going, oh my god, I think I've watched it all. I don't know what else I have left.
Honestly, I
Does anyone have a queue anymore? Does anybody actually do a list, or they just go through the categories?
No, and I haven't watched anything on Netflix in quite some time.
Queen's Gambit was the last thing I watched. And that was actually relatively recently.
And that was the last thing I watched as well. Queen's Gambit was fantastic, and anyone who hasn't watched that should. And anyone who was thinking about watching the New Mutants, the chick from the Queen's Gambit is maybe the only reason to watch that, and you still shouldn't.
Oh, what's her name? Anna Taylor-Lord or something?
So don't. But yeah, there hasn't been anything really new or exciting on Netflix. I've been just watching. I started rewatching How I Met Your Mother again.
Mm-hmm.
I think I forgot how poorly acted that show was. It's really, really very poorly acted. It's not good. So that it's still funny because you've got Neil Patrick Harris, and how can you not love him? But not good. I have watched all 13 seasons of Ink Master in the past month or so, as well as all of their spin-offs.
That's the tattoo competition, right?
Yes,
Ink
as
Master,
we heard.
Ink
Josh
Master,
is very much into the tattoo lifestyle.
It's America's top model for tattoo.
I watch. Zoe watches it with me. She loves it. It's great. It's awesome. We hang out. We watch together. It's very cool. I've watched all their spin-offs. And now I started watching Miami Ink, which is a show that aired in 2005.
Isn't that the one with they run the shop and the one guy is just like Yoji's an apprentice learning.
Yoji's the apprentice.
Yeah, that's a great fucking show.
So that's where Chris Nunez got his start. Chris Nunez,
right? Yes,
one of the judges from Ink Master, got his start on Miami Ink after he'd been tattooing for 13 years or whatever. But very cool show that spawned LA Ink with Kat Von D. I'll watch that later.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is I've just gone back to all these older shows. I rewatched West Wing in its entirety, The Sopranos in its entirety, Boardwalk Empire, The Wire. I've watched all of the shows. I watched Homeland start to finish. I watched everything this year. Shows. Everything. I have nothing left to watch. I've watched
the Great Food Truck Race.
I've watched all the movies. I've watched all the shows. I very much need something new.
And my wife and I we literally have a list that we share on our Apple Notes of shows that we need to watch. Go ahead.
What?
Sign up for Discovery Plus on Monday, and you'll have plenty of new shows to watch.
No, I won't. I won't do that. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. Right.
You can have the Guy Fieri. He's got a whole show on there. I'm just saying.
I get it. I didn't
all
like Guy Fieri when he was cool to like.
Josh, all the Flavor Town you want, all of it.
The one thing that I thought was going to be around more to get me through this, but then disappeared was SGN. Some Good News with John Krasinski came out at the beginning of the year, and God, did we need it? And it was delightful and silly, and it just brought out the best in what was going on. And then it got sold to Viacom or CBS. It went away. It came back for Christmas. He did an episode with the Rock, but I really wanted that to be around more. I thought it was such a great premise and a great thing to do. And I realized John's got his own thing to do, like maybe the Fantastic Four soon. Who knows? Oh, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
But really, really wanted to see more of that. So it was definitely something I was like, I wish we had more of that. That would have gotten me through a little bit more of these.
Something that I thought was going to get me through that left abruptly was Quibi.
That's true.
I did get hours of entertainment making fun of it, but it was there and gone.
That was definitely gone too soon. You know what? I will say the one thing, though, that I really thought was going to get me through 2020 and ended up being a complete dud was my AMC 2020 popcorn bucket. And, I didn't even
That
get to
sucks
use it.
suck.
I purchased the bucket without any popcorn just so I could have it.
And you still
uh,
get $5.
It's a slow zoom, like the movie slow zoom in on his empty popcorn bucket in the corner of the room with the sad music playing.
Just the sad Hulk music.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
I mean, in the bucket's defense, you can make your own popcorn and put it in the bucket. I mean, you're just wasting a perfectly good bucket.
As if buckets needed defending. Here's
Excuse
Brian.
me, Your Honor. This is Brian Thornton representing the bucket.
Just say, I feel like this bucket is getting a bad rap. I just
You want
people
though,
for the bucket.
AMC has said, hey,
hashtag I stand with the bucket.
I stand with the bucket. AMC has said that if you bought the bucket, the 2020 bucket, they will honor it in 2021. To which I said, great, are you going to honor it again in 2022? I'm not going to the fucking movies in 2021.
Guys, at this point, we're looking at maybe like a fall launch.
Can I have an eternity bucket? Could this be good for a few years?
Jesus.
Oh, man.
Thanos snapped and half my life went away. What happened?
Objection, Your Honor. That doesn't represent the bucket very well.
Sustained.
All right, it is now time to talk about our second half, which is it is time to get our impressions on Wonder Woman 1984. Wonder Woman 1984 premiered on Christmas Day on HBO Max and also in theaters. I'd love to get some first impressions, and then we can kind of dive into the movie. And Brian, I will let you go. What was your first impression after watching the movie?
What movie?
That kind of show, folks. That
No
kinda show.
freaking joke. My wife said, "What are you guys going to talk about tonight?" I said, "Oh, Wonder Woman 1985," because I couldn't remember the title of the movie, and I got the year wrong. That's my impression of this movie.
Joshua?
I stopped watching it with 14 minutes remaining.
Oh, you missed the best part.
Wait,
And I
Nothing
feel
happened.
like I didn't miss anything at all.
I have to know what was the viewing experience? We didn't even ask Brian. We dropped
How
the
long
ball.
until you fell asleep?
I nearly nodded off.
Did you make it 20 minutes?
Yeah. So I like.
Damn
you know,
it! I lost.
Yeah, I had coffee and was watching the movie by myself. Laura was all pissed off because she was like, "Wait, you watched it without me?" I was like, "Well, I started it. I thought you and Zoe were gonna watch it together. I didn't know you know, whatever." So, but it took, I had to sort of break it up into sessions because it was pretty awful. And I still haven't finished it. I really have no desire to finish it. That's my impression. Is
Okay.
Bleh.
I'm going to come back to you because I have many questions for you.
Blech. That sound.
This-
Just blech.
This movie was, how do I say this? Just completely forgettable. I mean, I still forget plot details. There was some color, but I think they used most of it on their posters. And
There was color.
yeah, but like it
It wasn't like a drab.
It wasn't like the Snyder colors were-
BVS bullshit.
Right,
Like,
were-
it was.
the color red came through, which was great to see. Right? Like, I thought there was some. This started off with this could be something, and then just shot the bed the entire way through. And I forget. I'm going to forget this movie. So I feel like I'm going to get that time back because it's not going to exist in my head anymore. But wow, it was pretty disappointing, especially with all the hype.
Wasn't
So
good.
where did you leave off, Josh? Is my question. Where did you stop?
15 minutes beforehand,
Yeah,
he
I don't-
probably stopped.
I don't remember.
Right after he stopped.
Did they do the invisible jet?
No. He
Yeah.
definitely
I saw the
jet.
invisible jet.
He saw the
yeah.
invisible jet. He saw all of Egypt. He probably stopped right as they were getting back to DC.
Which how does a guy who had trouble flying
He was-
World War I planes hop in a jet, which happens to be parked? Was it at the Smithsonian?
The Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I didn't know they had jets there.
Or a
But
runway.
How does he hop in a fighter jet and is like, oh, I know how to do this?
Considering he flew
that's
planes, right?
it's not actually my biggest problem. My biggest problem was more on a like an empowerment element, believe it or not. Like if you're gonna start a movie with the lesson that like greatness is earned,
Don't take shortcuts, right?
don't take shortcuts, greatness is right. And then this, I mean, Wonder Woman is sort of like that. She's the aspiration, right? She's the vision of good. This is what all girls aspire to be. She's the picture of powerful woman, and I agree, in most cases she is, except for the way that they wrote her in this movie, where she just can't let go of this man, which is horse shit.
For 70 years, she's been pining.
Like,
She's been Chris pining over this guy.
I don't understand how you predicate an entire movie on these feelings that this superior being is incapable of relinquishing. I don't get it.
That was a big thing for me. Was the opening is young Diana doing this decathlon race thing, right? And she takes a shortcut, and it said, "No, you lost. Don't take shortcuts. Do things the right way." And that's when you know you'll be ready to win, right? That's when you know it. That's when you're honest with it. You can go.
And then they forgot the lesson.
They never did anything.
It never
with that.
gets brought up. That entire scene is
Nope.
completely useless.
Yes,
it was
But
really
it started out so great.
with
Didn't the movie
exception
start
of-
out so great?
What was the shortcut she took in the movie? None.
No,
First and foremost,
the
that
shortcut
scene does
was
not.
the wish. The shortcut was, I mean, that was the wish
but
is the
like-
metaphor for the shortcut, right?
But she didn't know it was her wish. She didn't know.
That's the thing.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
She
right.
didn't know.
She didn't
A.
know.
B. That scene does not come up in any way, with the exception of she says it in the 15 minutes that you missed, Josh. She says it to Cheetah. For what? For reasons. For no reason at all.
Right.
It feels like they got to the end of the movie and they're like, well, shit, we need to make this
We got to tie it
connect
together
somehow. So let's have her say the same thing that Robin Wright said. It's like they were like, you know who was great? Robin Wright and Connie Nielsen. We should have them in this movie again. You know who was also great? Chris Pine. And it's like they took that idea and they were like, let's build an entire story around how we can get Chris Pine back
which
into
is
the movie.
absolute insanity because Gal Gadot was good in
She's always
BVS.
good.
She was good in Justice League.
She was even good in this.
She's good in this. And
I'm not saying she wasn't
no,
good.
I know
I'm
you're
saying,
not. Yeah.
I'm saying they built her up. She did an amazing job, and they wrote her very well in both BVS and in Justice League. I didn't have any issues with her in either one of those movies. And then they wrote this weak ass bullshit for her.
Mhm.
They wrote her weak. How
I'm
do
gonna
you
go-
write Wonder Woman weak?
I'm going to go on record and say that all the actors in this movie are good.
Yes.
They're doing their job. They're doing a great job.
Except Kristen
it's-
Wiig.
It's the Kristen Wiig was
Kristen
great.
Wiig in this
Terrible.
movie.
She was
Terrible.
She was fine.
No.
Terrible.
I thought the
It's-
White House scene. She was
The White House
fantastic
scene was
in it.
good. The story. It's the problem is the story. The story sucks.
Terrible.
It's all around the fact that first. There's so many things that bug me about this
The
movie.
villains were
And
awful.
Yes.
The villains
story
were not
was
fleshed
dog
out.
shit.
Can we hit that real quick? There were two villains in this movie, right? Pedro Pascal's Maxwell Lord and Kristen Wiig's Barbara. What's her last name? Whatever.
She
Barbara.
eventually becomes Cheetah.
Cheetah, right? What weak, like pointless villains. So, and again, I am not a comic book collector. I know you two are, and I don't know the backstory of Maxwell Lord if there was a bigger one, and I'm just dating.
It's a much better one in the comic
I only
books,
take what I
yeah.
got here. Tell me, what did they miss? Like, why were these guys
Everything.
so bad?
Everything.
Why
They
were they
didn't. Here's
so
the
bad?
thing. We can't compare them to the comic books because
Fair
they're
enough.
nothing like their comic book counterparts.
Fair enough.
And which is fine. Like you do you. But the thing is,
wasn't a real estate swindler.
the thing is like he's this yuppie businessman who is down on his luck, who is getting caught up in his lies. That's fine. My problem is this: we spent half the movie explaining this monkey paws wishing stone
it's
thing,
terrible.
which could have been, it legitimately is an hour and a half of the movie. I'm not even joking. It could have been explained in a 10-minute scene, and we could have spent that time actually developing these villains. There was no like greater development besides, oh, Max Lord, he's a douchebag. He wants the stone. He wants to become the stone. Oh, okay. Kristen Wiig, she's quote unquote nerdy and put upon and gets walked all over. Okay, she wants to be more powerful. And like that's all you get from these characters. You don't get anything.
It reminded me of the Mummy, right? In that
Tread carefully.
no.
I do enjoy the original Mummy. Which
right,
Mummy are we talking about?
The original Mummy. It reminded me of the Mummy in that there was this exposition of, the Book of the Dead, right?
Okay.
Right.
Which had this power to do this thing, right? Except that was in the first 25 minutes of the movie.
And then you have the rest of the movie.
And then it did the thing, and then Imhotep became this, right? This powerful villain.
Unstoppable force. Right. Yes.
Right. So, but that's, to me, like, I thought it was going that way. Like,
Right.
this thing that was on her desk, and it was thin, and we were going to get a quick thing, and then there was going to be this other. Nope. It was just on and on and on and on, but the same thing over and over and over, and everybody's like,
Here's the thing. It took over half the movie to explain what the heck the stone was to begin with. Took over half the movie to explain the rules. They didn't even go through and say, hey, you only get one wish per person,
Right.
until over halfway through the movie. So the entire time I'm sitting there like, just use the stone again.
Yeah.
What the hell are we going through all
Right.
this for? Just use the fucking stone again. Until like, oh, an hour and a half in. Oh, you only get one. Oh, it's a monkey's paw.
That was it. My wife and I looked at my
okay.
wife halfway through the movie and went, oh my God, this is a monkey's paw. She's like, oh, really? Like, really? Like, she looked at me like, you're going, they wouldn't be that dumb. And then it was. I was like, oh.
An hour and a half in a 2.5 hour movie to explain a something that could have been done in 10 minutes of exposition is really frustrating.
I can't.
And
Go ahead.
and as long as we're talking about the rules of the stone that are not clearly established at all, because here's my other problem. And if you read any online reviews, this has already been pointed out by many critics. The stone is clearly, like, eventually set up that it can just make things appear out of thin air. The president says, we need more nukes. Nukes just appear.
Yep.
Boom. Except for when it comes to Steve Trevor. Apparently, we can't just have Steve Trevor appear. He has to possess someone else's body.
Right.
Who then? What happened to that guy?
Well, she
He had a
What's
whole
this guy's
career.
story?
She met him at the end of that Hallmark film moment.
That's
he wasn't,
great.
and he was not a pilot.
Did he black out for a week?
He had
What
to have.
happened? And like my thing is like that was unnecessary. It was completely unnecessary.
And my bigger point too, and you just reminded me, Josh, when we met Steve Trevor, he was not known as a pilot. Diana interacted with him primarily as a spy. So why would she? Oh, he was a pilot. He was a pilot. No, dude, he was a spy. He happened to fly, but he flew prop planes
Poorly,
And he gets into
and
it
poorly.
right? And he gets into a jet because the only two times we've seen him fly in that movie, he crashes. Right. The first one, he crashes into the island, and the second one, he blows up. So not very good pilot. We've never seen the guy land. All right, problem.
But he's going to fly a Mach 1.
He flies a Mach 1. First time he's ever flown a jet, right? Jet engines very different than prop engines, as we've already pointed out. And his first
He's
time
never
flying,
seen a jet engine, and he's just going to hop in?
And then the first time he's up in the air, you know what he does? The hell is that? Oh, those are fireworks. It's like flak, just with colors.
You've been
a
fireworks existed around the time of World War One.
Yes, but it's flak. And even if he's a shitty pilot, Steve Trevor should know.
In the
You
middle
don't
of
fly
it.
in the middle of it. It looks very pretty, but you don't fly in the middle of it. And the invisible jet thing was a huge groan, and it was campy, and it was okay, but
I'm
ugh.
fine with her. Like, okay, hey, she had an invisible jet in the comic book.
But-
She had an invisible jet in the cartoon. We'll play homage to that. My problem is that all of a sudden, for some reason, Diana can make things go invisible.
Right.
And can
Which-
fly.
Oh, we'll get
Which-
to that in a second.
I'm fine with her flying. She's been flying in the comic books longer than she wasn't flying for. But
I don't know if that's true. She started flying after Crisis
In
on
85.
Infinite Earths. It was 1986.
it's been over 40 years.
No. It's not over 40 years.
It's almost 40 years.
It's almost 40 years. And how old is the comic book?
The comic book, 19...
40s? 50?
She was created in 1942.
42. So 44 years
We're-
of not
we're leg-
flying,
Yeah.
followed by 34 years of flying. Fine. I think my bigger problem is she started flying because a boy told her she could fly.
Here's my bigger problem. If she could fly, why didn't she fly during Batman vs Superman? Why didn't she fly during Justice League? Why wasn't she flying in the movies that take place in the
CJ,
future?
a boy never told her she could fly.
But she already had that knowledge.
a boy
later on.
never told her she could harness the wind in 1980 in
But
1984.
in 2016, she could have. She
I
already
know.
knew.
Look,
Can we go back to the fact that there was no reason this movie had to take place in 1984?
there is none.
Yes, there's no reason. No.
With the
correct.
exception of I need to see Chris Pine wearing a fanny pack.
He can
there
still
is
do that in
nothing-
2021. Have you watched Queer
No.
Eye? He'll just
That's
wear
right.
it on
There
there.
is nothing in this movie that says this needed to take place in 1984. Which was another thing that distracted me for the entire time. I'm sitting here waiting for, here's the thing that's gonna make it like, this is why it takes place in 84. And it never came. Besides the fact that she was rocking some fantastic outfits.
But it wasn't rocking any of the music, right? The trailer
yeah,
was
right.
like 80s music, motherfucker, buckle up for 1984. And the show is like, what's the music? What's the music that we can license for the mall scene? That has no real bearing on the hits of the 1980s. But if you're going to have something set in a time period, music is a great way to invoke that time period. It's a
Yeah.
cheap, easy way to do it, right?
It's not cheap.
Well, versus all the set designs and everything else it is, versus the salaries you have to pay some of these people. Sure,
listen,
it is.
and 1984 had some music. So like, not using Jump or What's Love Got to Do with It for any reason, just use
Not
those.
even on the radio, right?
right when Doves Cry was 84.
You're not going to get Prince.
Yeah, no. You definitely.
I don't think you're going to
get
get Prince.
All right,
But I hear your point. There's good music from the 80s, and especially the year 84. And none
Careless
of it,
Whisper was 1984. They could have pumped that in the mall somewhere.
Yep. They didn't do any of that. So
They could have put that in the invisible jet scene. Can
right.
you imagine while they're watching fireworks?
Yeah.
All the stuff that you could easily just throw into to really Hey, now we have to pay for it. I'm not there for it. All the stuff that you could easily pump in to make this movie more relevant for the 80s, besides the fashion, just kind of gone. And even
Fashion and the old-timey TV sets, they were square, CJ. They weren't always rectangles. They were square.
4x3.
I just so that was distracting. Like it legitimately was a distracting. Like this movie was a bunch of very haphazard decisions that made no sense. It was
Look,
clunkily
you
put together.
said forgettable. I'm not sure I'll ever forget how bad it was.
can we put out one thing that somebody should have saw when they were doing the rough edit and said, "Oh, can we get a different take, please?" Which is when they were in the desert, right? She's losing some of her powers. Those kids are playing out in the middle of the road, and
Yeah.
she scoops them up. And then when she does the roll, when she falls off the rope, lands on the kid.
kids. Yeah.
And is clearly
I saw
a dummy and a doll, right? Like it's very clearly a dummy doll, but lands on the kid and rolls around. No, Diana, if you're gonna hit the ground, you take the brunt of it, okay?
No,
you're the
you know,
demigod, not
I think
the kid.
that's a fair example. I could have done without Kristen Wiig. I could have done without Kristen Wiig.
See, I thought she was probably one of the better parts of the
Nope,
freaking movie.
she was terrible.
And I'm on record. I don't know if I'm recorded as saying this, but I am not a fan of Kristen
Yes,
Wiig.
you are
And I
recorded.
actually,
awful.
I enjoyed her in this movie.
I did
They
too.
And I
couldn't
thought-
get anyone else.
Here's the funny thing. Like going back to my original point about why we had to bring Chris Pine back, because maybe because him and Gal Gadot had amazing chemistry. You know who has amazing chemistry with Gal Gadot? Everybody.
That's right.
Straight down to Kristen Wiig. They were having great chemistry on screen. I'm sitting there
They
like,
should have brought Han from Fast and Furious.
like, what the hell? Like, It's just,
She does. I mean, she exudes sexuality. She's oozing chemistry. So, like anybody could have played that role. I'm glad they brought Chris Pine back. I am a huge fan of Chris Pine.
I'm not a fan of.
No,
how they went about it.
give Chris Pine some work. That's great,
But-
but it was
But
unnecessary.
man, it was just not. I mean, it just missed the mark. The whole thing missed the mark.
Brian, I didn't even think about the fact that if everything else could exist, why did Chris Pine have to take over? Why did Steve have to take over somebody's body?
Why do you have to
Thought about
possess
that.
someone?
Right, we got
Why
cows
are there
manifesting in the
different
middle of
Yep.
the DC
Yep, a whole farm. Yes,
whole farm.
Yep, just
but
an entire wall just appears
here's a
for
question.
no reason.
Here's a question I saw, and very again, not thinking through the now we can go larger to DC, so now we can zoom out and talk about DC at large. This feels very disjointed from the DC universe that is already existed.
So did the first Wonder Woman, with the exception of the photo.
Right. But no, in this way, because he's penetrating the entire world with this.
not a
make
good
one
reason
wish.
to use
Yeah,
the word
not a good
penetrate.
enough reason to use penetrate.
He is inundating the world with this one wish message, right? It's beaming throughout everybody. It's 1980s. Now, you two have to check me on this one. Bruce Wayne alive?
Yeah,
Probably
Parents dead?
just born.
yeah.
No.
That was around. Yes, that was
Not
around
in
the time of
84.
that was the Return of Superman times. That
My-
was
Josh, like when we're thinking about
DC
the movie chronological order,
The movie crime.
and if BVS takes place in 2016, and he's supposed to be in his early 40s?
Right, but he's at the end of his Batman career.
No, he's just in his early 40s.
You can't. I don't. I have.
That
to
means
go.
he was born in the 80s, early 80s. He was
He
a
was
young
not
kid.
born in the early '80s.
In this
Bruce
timeline.
Wayne-
He
in
was.
this timeline, he would have had to have been born around 1970.
Josh, how old are you again?
I am 40.
Okay, that's how old Batman is supposed to be.
No,
4 years ago, so
Not a chance.
1976.
not a chance.
Yes.
I think he was in his late 40s, early 50s. I think that's the Batman that we saw. I think we saw end of his career, Bruce Wayne.
Right?
Yes.
Would he not
right.
have wished for his parents to come back? Would he not have that moment? Even if he had to renounce it, would that moment not have happened? How do people not talk about this? How did the people not talk about this day? They all got a magic wish.
If the math checks out, he was born in about 1972, so in 84 he would have been
12.
12.
So his parents were dead. Batman, Bruce Wayne would have wished for his parents to
probably.
come back. Like 1000%, right? Even if he had no training, he would just wish for his parents to come back. Wouldn't that have changed the whole course of Batman?
Well, then he would have had to renounce his wish because he would have lost something.
Right. Lost Alfred. Right?
And also this movie doesn't give a shit about that stuff.
That's
'cause
the
it's not
problem.
paying
You
attention
put
to
it,
that
and
stuff.
this is why it was pointless to have it in 1984, because it raises
Another reason it was pointless to have it in 1984.
Yeah, it raises stupid DCU questions. Where like, oh, they didn't think this through, right? Just more of them rushing to get something cool out of
Yes,
this.
let's list all the things they didn't think through when making this movie. This was bad.
It was. I wanted to enjoy it, not love it. not think it was great.
I tempered my reaction because Brian hadn't watched it yet.
I watched it. I was disappointed.
But once
No, when-
Brian watched it, I was like, it was bad. It's bad.
It's real bad. I was hopeful for this movie because I like the first Wonder Woman movie, and I like Gal Gadot in all the other Justice
In
League stuff.
comparison, I liked it very much.
Right? Like I like this. Wonder Woman is the highlight of the DCU to me. I think she's
Man of Steel. Come on.
no. I will fight. I hate Man of Steel. Total.
No, you hate Zack Snyder.
No,
Right
I will do hate Zack Snyder, but I hate Man of Steel. I like her. I think she's great. Again, to Brian's point, all the actors, actresses, great job. You did a great job with what you had. The story was just dog shit. It's not well thought and connected through. And to Brian's bigger point, there's no reason for this to be in the 80s. Like it just made no sense. What did we at least think about the cameo at the end? Right when we got to learn. Oh no, my brain just farted entirely. The
Linda
stinger.
Carter.
Yeah, with Linda Carter. We got Linda Carter in the little
now.
nod.
I
there.
didn't
I
see
thought it
that,
was
so that
nice.
sounds good.
Oh, okay. It's just a little nod.
Yeah, no, they make an illusion that she was the original owner of the gold armor that Diana mentions for 3 seconds and makes
She was
no
the
frickin'
goddess?
sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
That she was the goddess.
So they're not saying, okay, so it's not the original Wonder Woman. She was the goddess.
She was the
Correct.
goddess. It's just like, oh, hey, here's Linda Carter.
It's just like, hey, remember Linda Carter? Well, we didn't forget about her either. And here she is. Just
Oh,
for a
hey,
second.
remember that story that Diana told Steve for no freaking reason? It has no bearing on anything at all. It's just about, and like, why does she have the armor? Did she go and steal it from Themyscira? Like, why does she own it?
She did. She said she stole it. She went back to get it. That was.
Did
I
anybody
know
see
there's
her
a
go back
70-year
and get it?
gap here.
She said that. She said,
I know there's
went
a
back to get this.
70-year gap here. But like, who? Like, what? Why? Why is Diana
Guys,
just sitting there?
We're putting more thought into this than they did when writing it. So let's not.
My point is Diana sitting there saying, you know what? One day I might need golden
She
armor.
said that she wanted to collect all the relics of her society. She did say that. She actually did verbalize that she wanted to have all the relics of her society and them. So
Her society still exists.
but that's why she has it.
Themyscira is still there.
Is it though? I thought it
It's
got
still
destroyed.
a thing. It's not like the island was destroyed.
Can I need to ask another question. Here's all right. So you had they had these games, right?
Oh, we're back
And-
to the other scene that made no
yeah,
sense.
I have to because I have questions. You have
Oh, okay.
the warriors competing,
Yes.
right? And then you have the audience in the Colosseum of all these women of seemingly the same age somehow.
Correct.
Except for Diana.
But they're not warriors?
They are.
I
I
thought-
just think it was like the WWF version.
It's like the Olympics for Themyscira.
Yeah,
It was they're all warriors. They're a warrior nation.
No, I get it. I guess what I'm saying is, why are all the women in the crowd depicted as
Oh, like just spectators?
spectators, not warriors, right? We're just, we're wearing all this, we're in our garb.
I think they're just chilling.
I
They're
think-
just watching
No,
Netflix.
I think yet again-
I'm just, what I'm saying is, this is a society of warrior women
right.
who are not portrayed. They're not portrayed that way in the film.
I agree.
That bothered me.
Here's the bigger question about
Also,
this scene.
there are no varying ages in that crowd. They're all women of the exact same age,
True.
as
Right,
are
well,
all
I mean,
the warriors,
CGI.
except for Diana and Robin Wright and Connie Nielsen.
they-
Everyone else is the same age.
They
Except
talked
for
about
those
that
three
in the
people.
first movie because Diana was the youngest person on the island. They breezed by it, but
They
I
did
get
breeze
it.
by it.
they did make mention. But yes, your point is still, hey, why are they spectators?
I
Maybe it's the
have a bigger question that I heard on another review of this movie,
Yes.
where so she goes through the games and it starts off in that little Coliseum area, and then she ends up on the
Yeah.
horse, and then they have to hit those checkpoints, right?
Yep.
And in the middle, she gets knocked off her horse, and she goes down like this slide, this
a
like
tunnel,
this
a
like
luge. She luged.
she this luge, and then she gets yanked off her petard for cheating.
She got hoisted by her own petard.
She did get hoisted, and the thing is, that's not a naturally occurring luge. You put that there
Yeah, except
in
she
the
didn't-
obstacle course.
No, but she missed a checkpoint.
She missed it, and it's an aqueduct.
but they never say you missed a checkpoint.
That's
they
not
say
an aqueduct. There
you
was
cheated.
no water in there.
But it was a broken leftover aqueduct. That's what it looked like to me. It wasn't just a slide. It looked like it was an aqueduct.
It looked like a slide.
It did.
It looked like a
Check
freaking
the
slide.
tape and think aqueduct, and you'll see it.
And my
I
point
don't
is,
wanna
when
think
Robin
aqueduct.
Wright grabs her and says, "No, you can't win," it wasn't like you missed a checkpoint. It was you took a shortcut or you cheated.
She-
it
she-
wasn't,
She did
you
not
missed the
point out that she
checkpoint.
missed the checkpoint.
Right. It was you took the shortcut and missed the checkpoint. You're not ready to win. Just you got to
Cool.
the end before us. But yeah.
You didn't.
You're disqualified because you missed the checkpoint.
Right. But she didn't
It
say
would have
that.
been that simple.
There's the
right,
line.
Right. Exactly.
That's my point.
Yep. And again, they don't bring that up later of taking shortcuts anywhere else in the movie where it matters to Wonder Woman's character and her arc.
Well, I want to thank
Again,
you both. You've made me very angry at 11 o'clock on a Friday
She-
night.
Why have I made
And
you
and I
angry?
can't be angry.
We're in agreement on this.
I can't
we
be angry.
are, but now I'm angry just talking about it.
We can't be angry at Barbara because she made her wish, not knowing that she can make a wish. We can't be mad at Diana for making a wish.
Technically, Diana didn't know she was making. a
neither
wish.
did Barbara. Barbara didn't know.
Yeah, no,
They didn't know.
I get that. I get that.
No,
I'm not.
That's right. We're not angry at them.
We're not angry.
at
We're
the
not
movie
angry.
at large.
Right, yeah, I agree. This writing was just terrible. Who wrote this movie? Oh, God.
Who gives a shit?
I do, because I don't want to watch any more movies of them. I want to be
Well,
like, oh.
I'll tell you what. When the bell sounds and they open the purge, that's what I'm
Ooh,
going after.
Patty Jenkins was one of the writers. Jeff Johns was one of the screenwriters.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
No,
David
he wasn't-
Callum?
He was like a.
He was like a
Wonder
a
Woman
script supervisor type
Sure.
guy.
I
That's
can
what
see
Jeff
Patty
Johns'
Jenkins. I
role
don't know
is.
who David Callahan. I can't pronounce his name. Sorry.
Happy New Year, everybody!
Well, listener, thank you so much for listening to us, and we hope you have a fantastic 2021. Thank you so much for making us your walk around your neighborhood, your drive to work, or whatever it is that we are in your life. And we'll talk to you on the next episode.
Well, welcome to the club, cause you are that kind of nerd.